Now, today, it's the safest country in all of Central South and North America. In all the Americas, the safest country, lowest homicide rate, much safer than the United States. How did that happen? Well, we can talk about that. So I want to talk about it happened because of authoritarianism, because of
Yeah.
of a dictator who cared less about looking good to the media and more about doing what's right.
Hello, everybody. This is Tate Brown here, holding it down for Tim Pool. We have an interview here with Elijah Schaffer. We discuss DC and El Salvador, the comparisons between the crackdowns. He had recently come back from El Salvador, so we dove into his experience there. Enjoy. The Justice Department, this is from the Washington Post, is investigating DC police over alleged fake crime data. We've seen the lockdowns here, the crackdown. The National Guard is in the metro system. They're holding things down. It's looking like the Bukele strategy is being deployed. So I do want to bring Elijah Schaffer in. I want to chat with him about this, maybe about the anti-white stuff going on. So I'm getting this fired up. I'm solo today. We don't have producer Serge in the cut, but it's all right. Elijah, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Sorry for that.
How are you doing today?
Dude, a little rough, man. Just flew in from El Salvador.
Let's go.
And so I had a little bit of a dysentery, a little bit of food poisoning there for the last 48 hours, but I'm back and everything's good, man.
Let's go. Well, I mean, I imagine the overwhelming majority of our viewers know who you are, but maybe you can give a quick intro for the people that don't.
Yeah, so what's up? So my name's Elijah Schaffer. People just call me E online. I run a new network called Rift TV. You can find it at rifttv.com. Also, you should follow us on YouTube. We got a brand new channel just started about 4 weeks ago called Rift Official Rift TV or Rift TV. You can type it in. Get a lot of shows. And we got people like Sarah Stock, Braden Sorbo, Hercules' son, Joel Webben, Jordan Conradson, our White House show launching. And check it out because it's based, it's red-pilled, and we got all the truth, and I'm appreciative to be here, man.
Let's go. Well, awesome. Well, I wanted to bring you in and chat specifically because you said you had just come back from El Salvador. Obviously, there's a lot of people freaking out over the DC crackdown. I think it's brilliant. I mean, you're seeing pictures of National Guard in the subway. That seems like a great way to deter crime. Do you think that Trump is just taking a page out of the Bukele playbook here?
Yeah, that's actually a good question. So let's go down this rabbit hole into what Trump's doing, because I think I have a pretty unique perspective because I've been working hand in hand with expats and the sort of community that's reinventing El Salvador. Now, El Salvador is a small country, right? About as many people live there as Jews died in the Holocaust, they say. That's literally what they say. About 6 million people, exactly. It's true. It's exactly. It's a small number comparatively to a large country, right? Meaning, theoretically, you could wipe the whole population out and it wouldn't really be significant to the rest of the world. So why is this country so important? Why is Trump friends with this leader? Why is this place so important to billionaires, millionaires, and the world's elite? They're all meeting there, right? The International Bitcoin Conference, the biggest one in the world, is going to be held in San Salvador. Why are the people there seeing El Salvador such a significant place? Because when I write about it online, it seems like most of my audience, probably your audience, is just like, dude, it's a bunch of brown people in a crappy country. Why do I care about them? Well, I'll tell you. I mean, El Salvador used to be the most dangerous country in the entire world. It was the murder capital. It was more deadly than Baghdad, more deadly than Jalalabad. I mean, this was a place where the crime was so bad that the phrase nickel and diming was daily life. You'd get onto a bus, you'd pay the fare, and MS-13 would come onto the bus with a jar and make the poor people give their nickels and dimes into the jar just to be able to go on the bus, but they would kill them. I mean, it was so bad they would if the government revolted, they would light buses on fire and burn 30, 60 people alive inside of buses. I mean, this was a horrible place. No one visited there. And it was so bad for Westerners to visit that even though Cuba was cut off, Westerners, they never had any visitors. That I talked to a guy that ran a textile business down there. He said you had to have armed security to get from the airport. And when you got to your hotel, you couldn't leave your room or you'd get mugged or kidnapped. So this is what this place was 7 years ago, by the way. It was the capital of crime. Now, today, it's the safest country in all of Central South and North America. In all the Americas, the safest country, lowest homicide rate, much safer than the United States. How did that happen? Well, we could talk about that. So I want to talk about it happened because of authoritarianism,
Yeah.
because of a dictator who cared less about looking good to the media and more about doing what's right.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like you said, it was hostile to Westerners. I mean, the part of the problem with DC is hostile towards Westerners in more ways than one. I mean, you have the crime situation, obviously, and it seems to really specifically target white Americans that are there. There's obviously a disproportion there. And then even in the museums, I was talking earlier in the show about the Smithsonian, where there's just this vile, clearly just resentfulness against the West and white culture. The entire museum is just attempts from the curators of the museum to get back at their father. They clearly are just full of resentfulness. So yeah, you start to look at people like Bukele and you say, actually, I want a little piece of that. I don't know if this dooming over authoritarianism, or I should say, I don't know if authoritarianism is any more dangerous than what's going on now, whatever we're experiencing now with these bureaucrats.
No, dude, you're completely right, man. I mean, first of all, I appreciate you. Rest in peace, Tim Pool. I heard he died at 9:54 a.m. this morning, so that's unfortunate.
No
I hope
comment.
I'll be at the funeral. No, I know Tim's not doing well health wise. It takes a toll. Remind him to, as somebody who travels internationally, remind him to take some rest sometimes. I was actually supposed to be off today, and I was told that you were hosting. I'm like, let me go on with my boy. Let's talk.
Let's go.
So I'm happy to be here. But yeah, so let's deconstruct what's going on in El Salvador and what's going on in DC, the parallels and where they're different. So let's talk about the truth about El Salvador and DC. So one of the things in El Salvador that the critics say, and we'll just give the critics their credit right now. Yes, Bukele did waive the human rights of close to 100,000 people. Some say it's 60,000. Yes, he did. Yes, he did put people in prison without proper international trials. 3, yes, it is a police state. 4, he even calls himself the world's most generous or benevolent dictator. He kind of rules like a dictator. And 5, there is an alignment between the private sector and the general government that some people might call fascism. I don't think he would use that phrase, meaning like the minister of education is also like a general in the military kind of thing, something like that. So there's that. However, listen to me. Let me bring this down. That all sounds bad, right? To a Westerner, that all sounds evil, because when we think of dictators, we think of we think of South American, Central American dictators. We think of Venezuela. We think of Cuba, right? We think of, these communist revolutionaries, Che Guevara or something like that. However, check this out. What if a system is so bad that there's only 2 ways to fix it? You either have a civil war and that results in a revolution, or you avoid the war and you have a revolution without the war.
Yeah.
Right? So everyone knows the system was broken in El Salvador. A lot of Americans don't realize the system's unfixable. Trump is not going to fix this stuff in America. He's bought out by Adelson, right? He took $100 million from them, and and by the way, I was meeting with some Trump officials in there. They're sick of AIPAC, by the way. They're sick of Netanyahu and what he's doing. He's really dividing their base, and they're not happy about it. I want to tell a truthful statement from the inside the White House. You will see some firings going on the next 4 to 12 weeks of some staff members, because Netanyahu has a little too much control, as they say. Is Trump's not going to fix it? What do? We get in a war, which would be horrible, right? That's not good. I know we're on YouTube. I'm not saying Trump says it's a bad idea.
It is.
We did it before.
We're disavowing war on here. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm saying we did. We killed 500,000 of our people in a civil war.
Yeah.
Right. That wasn't a good.
Yeah.
That wasn't good.
Wasn't optimal.
I don't think it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, some would say it was an invasion from the north and the south. It's possible. I don't think it was a civil war. Honestly, it's more base take. But we did kill each other, and that was bad. We could the entire government, like the French did in their revolution. Also, not the best option. It would these things might both work, but here's the problem: if we kill each other, we kill the government. It's not a movie. This isn't Hollywood.
Right.
When you look at the revolutions, not in France, but Is France better off not being under a monarchy? I don't know. I mean, if you look at Paris, when you look at, the revolution in Russia, is Russia better off after the Soviet Revolution? I don't think so. Is China better off after Mao's revolution? Economically, yes. After they stole all our trade secrets and architecture, yes. But I've worked there. The society isn't amazing. So we look at this and it's like, okay, those are the two options. And what Bukele said is, what if we just stop for a second? What if we don't kill each other? Because they were in a civil war. What if we stop each other? And they had a Democrat and Republican party there, just like us, the left and the right? So they had the uniparty there that worked together. And what if we don't the Republicans or Democrats, because they're equivalent to the Democrats or Republicans, right? The Democrats say Republicans, Republicans say Democrats. That's what we got to do. That's why they had a civil war, And I said, what if we don't do that? What if we just isolate a portion of the population? And they're calling this the Bukele model now. People aren't familiar with this. You're going to see other Central American countries do this. They're trying to create a united Central America like the United States. I don't know if you know about this. They're creating an entire empire down there. It's crazy. It's fascinating stuff. And he goes, what if we just raise the wages of the police and the military when we don't have the money so that they can't be bribed and they can provide for their families? We stop paying cops, like in America, 60 grand a year, and troops like 30, 40 grand. What if we give them 100 grand a year, like a U.S. soldier? What if we give police $120,000 a year? What if we give them real wages so that we tell them we're serious about your job, but your job's about to get serious? You don't be giving people parking tickets. We're going to need to go in block by block and city by city, and we're going to grab the bad guys that make our society unsafe, and we're going to throw them in one of the most secure prisons to ever exist, I think the most secure prison to ever exist, and say, sorry, we don't care about rights and human rights. You're done. And so what they did is they gave them money. They gave the military money. He won, by the way. He comes in. He was the mayor of San Salvador, becomes the president with over 80% approval rating. By the way, do you know Bukele is the highest approval rating of any world leader? I think it's the highest approval rating of any world leader right now by his own people in independent polling in the world right now. Second highest ever in history.
I believe that. Yeah.
So he's the second highest approval rating. So let me tell you how popular it is to do this. He creates a third party called New Ideas that is a common sense party, independent of right and left wing politics. So, right wingers, left wingers won't arrest people without due process. He goes, nope. You have a tattoo on you. If you're related to a gang in any way, you have any gang tattoos. We don't, because the critics, the communists there were like, yeah, but you're going to arrest innocents. He did arrest a few, but they let him go. And maybe there's a few in prison now. I don't know. But he said, there's about 100,000 of these bad guys in our country. And we have about 6-7 million people here. Why should 6 to 7 million people have a bad life so that we respect the rights of 100,000 people? Why don't we disregard the rights of 100,000 people? Mm-hmm. Fuck them. Let them rot and let them. So we're gonna do something worse than death. We're gonna put them in the worst prison in history, and we're gonna liberate our people. Yep. And you know what? They went in block by block. They also, I think they paid people off also too to rat on people, but the people start turning over their family members. Mm-hmm. They got MS-13 tattoos, we got Tren de Agua, whatever they had, gangs down there. There was another gang, I can't remember the name. It's not in America. And you know what's crazy? All of a sudden, people were being taxed so much by the crime was causing such a problem. Listen to this. This is so crazy. The crime was causing such a problem. Bukele didn't even know this, I think, that by putting the money into the military and police and getting and going and grabbing everybody with tattoos and putting them in prison, like billions of dollars returned to the economy. Now, when you're talking about millions of people and billions of dollars, these gangs were extracting so much money through extortion and racketeering schemes from the economy that the government budget, it paid for itself. Getting rid of these guys it was a net neutral, zero cost venture. And it's so powerful that all the a lot of countries, I'm not say all, I won't even say which ones because it was technically a closed door meeting, but um, a lot of countries are building these prisons they call them CCOTs, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And and they're planning on doing the same thing. And now a lot of MS-13 fled to Nicaragua, down there, Panama. They're in the forests, and they're also building these prisons, and they're going to raid, and they're going to extradite them back to El Salvador, and that's why Trump is working with El Salvador to deport our people, because a lot of people left El Salvador to come up to LA. You know, you saw why do we have Tren de Aragua? Why do we have a bunch of MS-13 spikes in our country? Because they were running away from Bukele.
Yeah.
And Bukele's like, why don't we send a message to all the criminals of the world? You can't run, you can't hide from justice. So, you know, so the U.S. is working now with them too. So people want to know how serious it is. We're sending our criminals that are their people down back to them to do what we all should do. Now, so why is Trump militarizing D.C.? I was with some insiders. I don't know if you saw, but there was a lot of people been in El Salvador from our government in the last few months. I've been with a lot of them. Been with a lot of people I don't like, by the way. You know, I know people don't know what I've been doing. I haven't really been making content. I just run a network, and I've been like working government and lobbying and just like international stuff that I can't probably share on the show per se. But I've been trying to. I basically have been doing this. I saw what happened in El Salvador, and I see what's happening in our country, and I'm like, why can't we do that? Why can't we be authoritarian police state and just get rid of these people that suck the living shit out of our country? Why can't we just, like, you go into Dallas, which is, by the way, 28% white now. I don't know if you know, but the most non-white state in the union, I think, right now is now Texas. The bastion of freedom. So it's like we've replaced the population. White replacement already succeeded in Texas. No issue with brown people, by the way. No issue with Mexicans and Venezuelans or anyone. Like, I don't have any issue with these people. I employ some of them. They're not it's not an issue. But white countries need to remain white. That's just period, right? El Salvador should remain El Salvadoran. Like, it's not a supremacist statement. It's just Western countries are white. Western means white. WW. It's a win-win. It's like that's who we are. Some people live in our countries. We're not white anymore in America, unfortunately. I think they're lying about the stats. I think we're minority white now.
Certainly with the illegals, probably. Yeah.
I think so. I think, dude, come on, man. Do you ever go into cities and ever see a majority white city in the entire country? Because I've never seen one.
No, there may be Portland, Oregon. That's probably it.
Well, I don't know if we're counting lesbians as white people.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. That's a good salient point.
Sorry, has there been any straight cities that are only white? And no issue with the either. You know, like, it's the same thing. Like, you got a few in a city, that they call that a city. You got a few browns in a city or blacks in a city. It's a city. But you got everyone's, we call that Portland. Right? It's real. Like, you know, everybody's brown. That's just called Los Angeles.
Right.
So, you know, and black, well, we call that Atlanta. But yeah, but like, what's the white city in America? Maybe Maine, maybe Maine, New Hampshire. But they're busy voting in liberals. They're destroying themselves. Whites are a self-destructive, you know, race, and it saddens me. Yeah. So what I found is that with the militarization of DC, is you can just do things. You know, I've been talking with a lot of really brilliant minds, Max Kaiser, Dr. Jack Cruz. I don't think I can say anybody else's name because, you know, Tim had a closed door meeting with Netanyahu and stuff, and that technically means you're not allowed to talk about who was there, what happened, and I don't want to bother, you know, these people. But I had one with sort of like the opposite people, right? It's like he's like a Zionist. Netanyahu is like a Zionist. He's like he's Israeli, and he's about, you know, he's a neocon. He's a neocon ally. These guys I met with are the opposite. They're basically, they've gotten to a room of people that meet under a name of the greatest thinkers and minds who meet up in El Salvador to find out why we can't do that in our countries. Germans are there. The French are represented. The White House was represented. There's White House officials there. And it's because there are people in Trump's White House that are very based. And it's gave me a lot of hope, right? There are people that are in Trump's base that are exactly who the Democrats say they are. Trump's not. Vance is definitely not that person, right? Vance. I'm scared about Vance,
You're
right?
scared about Vance.
Oh yeah.
All right.
I don't think I'm. We can touch on that later. I don't have a good feeling about that guy at all. From what I know on the inside, that's not a good thing. Um, that's Peter Thiel's puppet, and
Oh.
Peter Thiel's no bueno, as they say, right? Um, so you have an opposite force, and they can't meet in any Western country because these meetings would be illegal, and in most of these countries you'd be arrested for having these conversations, right?
Mhm.
Basically, like, you know there was an Austrian painter that once tried to change Europe, and then he died in Argentina, I think, or Venezuela, I forget where it was.
Yeah, I think he was an
um
expat. Yeah.
yeah, he was an expat as well, so he
Yeah.
left. And you go down there, and do you know how many European and white people are down in these countries that lived from that era, that believe the same thing? They believe the West lost World War II. I think that's a very, very common trait of the media. That's what we'll say.
Mm.
Everyone lost, right? Germany lost, America lost. Look at it. Nobody won World War II, man.
Yeah.
Nobody won.
It
I
was a
mean,
disaster. Yeah.
like, yeah, it's like, look, I'm not gonna say Hitler was a good guy, or Patton was bad, or whatever. Like, I'm not gonna play to the narratives. My point is I'm looking at the effects of World War II. A bunch of white people killed each other, and our cities are now full of Muslims.
Yeah,
And
you
our
don't
kids
really
are
get Zoran if you won a war decisively.
correct. It's like yeah, this isn't a Lord of the Rings, right? There's no Return of the King. Like, it's
Yeah.
like everyone's atheist, gay, and genuinely mentally retarded.
It's like we won a war and then our victory was like 60 million abortions. I mean, like, what are
Yeah.
we doing here?
Well, dude, exactly, man. So, like, so jokes aside, I mean, it's like we lost. Europe and America lost World War II. That's a universal thing that people don't want to admit. But man, I'm tired of it, man. My colleagues, the people that I'm around, man, they're all taking money, man. Man, I got offered, even just a week ago, got offered Israeli money again to attack Iran. That's all I can say. To attack Iran. I was like, I can't. I just feel uncomfortable. Like, I can't attack Iran. Like, why are you, like, I don't like that. I don't want to do that. I even
Yeah.
wrote them, like, I'm like, dude, you got to pay me a lot more money to do that. I'm not being serious. I didn't do it. But I was like, dude, this isn't the first time I've been offered money, and I don't mind. It makes me mad because Lauren Chen, gets busted for Tenet when she is innocent, by the way, in my opinion, and then gets shit on for taking quote unquote Russian money, when Russia is white Western Christian people. Why is their money dirty? That's stupid. But I could take money from a non-Christian secular state like Israel, and my friends all take it, And I got the people in my DMs trying to get me to take the trip and go out there and go to the kibbutz and go to the sites, and I'm offering. I mean, I never out anyone because I'm not like that. I'm very professional. I always keep things private. I always keep things confidential. But some of the biggest names out there I know have been trying to convince me to go take that trip,
Mm.
and why? Because they want to give me what the 16 influencers just took that money to go do. They're out there right now from PragerU and different organizations.
Mm.
It's lie to the American public so that we can keep our taxes from helping our country, so we can fund those forever wars for the Israeli neocon regime, the U.S. and the regime. So I kind of get into a point to where I want to know, why are we spending our money in America funding wars in countries that, quite frankly, we're displacing their populations, and then we're importing them into our country?
Yeah.
And you see Randy Fine being like, we need to deport all Gazans. Why are Gazans coming to our country, buddy?
Yeah.
It's because we're funding a war to displace them, and then we have to take on the burden. So what I'm seeing is here's the difference. In El Salvador, who's coming to El Salvador? It's rich white people and their own people. The El Salvadorans are moving back.
Yeah, yeah.
Ethnic El Salvadorans are moving back into the country because it's getting better, and why? It's their home.
Yeah.
El Salvadorans don't want to live abroad. They come to America to have a better life, but if the better life is back home, then be among your own people, and they're coming back. So we're seeing in El Salvador the reversal of what we're seeing in Western Europe and the United States. It's a country. This is what I want to change everyone's minds here. Stop thinking about third world or first world or second world countries. Think of it as ascending versus descending countries. There are nations that are ascending, aka Georgia, El Salvador. There's a couple others. I don't want to get into it now. And there's descending countries, but China's ascending. It's getting stronger, mightier, greater. The West is getting weaker, less influential. Just to remind you, at one point, the Mexican police one time looted a pastry shop of a French citizen. And the French citizen asked the Mexican governor of the region to give him the pesos to repair his shop from their police that looted the shop. He said, no, basically you're French. You're not even Mexican. He wrote a letter to the French king. The French king wrote to the Mexican governor, hey, I think it was I don't know if it was the Mexican governor, I don't know what they call it at the time, but wrote him, basically give him the money. Also, you also owe us 300,000 pesos, adjusted for inflation today is, hundreds of millions of dollars. You owe us also a war debt. The governor basically said no. And the French sent their navy, blew up all the Mexicans' navy and leveled the town and then made them pay the war debt and fix the shop. So there was a time in history where white people were cool and we didn't take shit from anyone. Yeah. And now we're crying. We're letting black people punch us in the face because we say a word they don't like. We're chopping our children's dicks off, and we're repenting for what sins? Oh, I'm sorry, for giving you the entire modern world, for giving you everything that you have. 97% of inventions we invented. You're welcome. Yeah. So, I'm tired of this, and I got two beautiful boys. I got two beautiful boys, a lovely wife, and I look at them in the face, and it's like, my family was here before the revolution. Yeah. They settled Philadelphia and also the Midwest. My German family settled the Midwest. My English family settled the East Coast, and they came here with nothing. I read their journals. They fought in the Civil War, not the correct side, but they fought for this country, and technically the Germans fought against the English side, but still they intermarried. We created a new Anglosphere. They did all this several hundred years. My family's, government, intelligence / defense contracting. Like, my grandfather helped develop the stealth technology. He helped develop the B-2 bomber. That's crazy news, but it's like, he helped develop the B-2 bomber. My mom helped develop the B-2 bomber too. They worked for Northrop Grumman. To this day, I don't know what they did because my mom told me they'd have to kill me if they told me. So I don't know what they did. But he just said, your grandpa has level 1 security clearance, and he works for the White House and, Congress, and that's just what he did, right? And whatever he did, he made a shit ton of money because he owned lots of houses, had 8 kids, and still left a lot of money to each of his children. So, even adjusted for inflation, he probably left a couple $100,000 to each of his kids back when he died in the 90s, and houses to all of his kids and stuff. So the guy did well for himself. But as a heritage American, I don't like what I see, and I'm not okay with this. Mm-hmm. And I'm not telling people to flee to El Salvador. I'm telling people that our people, we bring the Anglosphere with us, and they speak Spanish in El Salvador, which is a European language. So Europeans went, fuck this, and went out and settled new land and figured out what to do because it was bad where they were, or they didn't like their situation. Mm-hmm. Americans speak English, which is what? English. It's from England. It's like we don't speak German. Everyone's like, oh, what if you spoke German? I wouldn't even care. But it's like, we speak English. There was no England here. Mm-hmm. I imagine if their ancestors were like, why'd you go to America? It's not England. It's like, well, because the brilliance of our white people has been destroyed by the corruption of the king or the Anglican Church or whatever they thought at the time, right? So it's like our country is being muddied with mass non-white immigration, Indians who make U-turns and kill families, in semi-trucks. The best thing to come out of 2025 is the hate for India. That's the best thing to come out of 2025.
It's a new trend, yeah.
Yeah, it's a good thing. It's a very good thing. However, I'm just reminding people that there's a third option. And I think what Trump's trying to do is, I think Trump is talking to Bukele, and he's realizing, like in El Salvador, they had a civil war, they killed each other. They had revolutions, they killed their government. And the third option, which is, running away. People left, they fled. In America, you don't have to leave yet, but Israel owns our politicians, whether you support them, maybe you like that, right? That's a key thing. Like some people don't like this, some people like that. Israel owns a lot of our politicians, not all of them, but a lot of them. Marjorie Taylor Greene is being very vocal about this. This isn't me being anti-Israel. I'm not anti-Semitic. I'm actually pro-Semitic in a lot of ways and pro-Israel in the fact that, I think I'm a meritocracy guy. I think land belongs to those that conquer it. And if Israel conquers that land, then they can stay there, and they can stay there as long as they can defend it. But I don't want to fund it anymore.
Yeah.
And I think that if people like that place, they should go live there. So to every American who loves Israel, go move there, because the boomers and all of you retards love that country more than this country. I like this country. I'm happy to be home, but I'm being honest with you. People aren't having kids, so they're pussies. They're not having children, right? So they don't understand the responsibility that a man has. Like, we have to fix this because my kids are disadvantaged right now. If my kids grow up in El Salvador as white boys, they're advantaged. You in our country, the only advantage you have is if you're white. Is maybe if you're transgender or gay or something,
Yeah.
right? Like, I'm being honest.
Yeah.
And if you're not white and you're watching this isn't like some white supremacist rant. It's like, being honest. When the country is not white, it's no longer the West, and it will become something that you don't recognize. And I think what's significant about El Salvador is run by the Palestinians, right?
It's true. Bukele,
Completely run by dude. Trust me, man. He's got a lot of brothers.
I believe it.
It is an authoritarian state. So I'll say this: not good to talk bad about Bukele in El Salvador. Don't do it.
Yeah, why would you? There's not much material anyway. No.
No, I know, but just don't do it. Don't do it. It's not a democracy in the way that America is. So, however, people don't realize that if you do want to talk poorly about him, you can criticize him, but I don't have a lot to criticize. And what Trump's realizing is you can just deploy the military. You can just do things. And I spoke to some people in DC who have said that, dude, in the last 2 years, it's gone out of control. I was there a year ago in one of the nicer districts in the W Hotel. There was a shooting across the street. When you're having shootings in nice areas, it's a big freaking problem. I am both worried and excited because on one hand, I think that the military is a powerful weapon and that the National Guard is an extremely useful weapon that can be used in a way to clean up the streets of DC. But as we saw during COVID in Illinois with our, almost vice president, deploying the National Guard to kick people back in their homes. Or I saw, and people don't know, if people ever wonder why I have a droopy face, because I have no nerves in the left side of my face. I got the shit beat out of me by a group of black guys at gunpoint in Philadelphia during the riots.
Jeez.
And I had to have plastic surgery, and I got necrosis. So it's numb. So I have a droopy face. I've seen a lot of things, and I've seen the National Guard not deploy as well in the way that they promised, right? And it lead to chaos. So I think it's great. The question is, though, with El Salvador, this is a Palestinian. People say, oh, his wife's Jewish. His wife, I think, is a little bit Ashkenazi, but she's a practicing Catholic. I think she's like a quarter or something. But Palestinians and Jews used to intermarry for many, many years. It was a normal thing in there as well. They're Semites. They're the same ethnic. I don't think she's Ashkenazi, actually. It's just whatever the Semitic side was.
Sephardic,
but it's like
possibly.
Something like that. Yeah, I think so. I could be wrong. Someone could correct me, but I know that she's not religiously or fully ethnic. His kids won't be Jewish ethnically because she's not enough Jewish,
Mm-hmm.
And I know that they're not. It's dude, they're so crazy. Number one, they use the dollar, but in order to prevent the USA from influencing him, he made the national currency Bitcoin, which this is where I want to get people's minds off this. You got this argument going on. You got like Tim Pool, Charlie Kirk, Brandon Tatum on one side, pro-Israel, and then you've got Candace Owens, Tucker. He's not so open about it. Tucker, Nick Fuentes, and a few others that are this anti-Israel stance. We have this big argument going on of are we pro-Israel or anti-Israel? Are we anti-Semitic or are we philo-Semitic? I think Elon Musk said the word philo-Semitic. He says philo-Semitic. I'm I'm not seeing this as being a constructive argument, really. I don't really see these fights as really getting us anywhere. And unironically, I've worked with all these people, and it's like I literally have Nick Fuentes on my show. I'm on Tim Pool's network right now. I've gone on Candace's show and we talk privately. I've made a movie with Tucker Carlson. I spoke on main stages and tours with Charlie Kirk, and they invited me back this for AmFest as well. So I'm not I'm not on one side of the aisle here. I get everyone. I know them personally, and I get why they're mad at each other. I get why Tucker's mad at Nick Fuentes. I mean, he called out his dad for being CIA. His dad's dead. You're going to get defensive of your family. I get why Candace Owens doesn't like Nick Fuentes. He talks some smack on her. I get why Nick doesn't like Tucker and Candace, or I don't know if he doesn't like them, but at least why he's calling them out on their bullshit because, let's be completely honest. They lied about him and said he's a gay Fed, and he's not gay. He's not a Fed. He's just not. It's a stupid, it's just stupid. I think that really backfired. And then obviously we know why he doesn't like Charlie and he doesn't like Tim. I mean, Tim, when I was on, was basically, calling him a gay Fed too. And Charlie also, calls him a bad faith actor or whatever, and refuses to even let him in a room. So I mean, I get why all these people. I get why Tim doesn't like Fuentes. He says his audience is trollish and ruins things, and Charlie says the same thing. Whatever. I get the fight. I get it. I'm in it. I get it. But fuck the fight. I got boys that are disadvantaged in my country, and okay, so I look at it this way. Okay, so both sides are saying the Jews are in power and they do control things. One side is saying that it's a good thing. The other side is saying it's a bad thing, but they're both agreeing. That's the way I look at it. Tucker, Candace, Fuentes, Charlie, Poole. I don't know if Posobic's weighed in on this. I'm thinking of other big names. I'm a little guy, right? I'm like a nobody. But those guys are basically saying Israel and Jewish power is real in America, but one side saying that it's good, either Charlie Kirk for religious reasons. Tim's more of maybe a libertarian. It's a good democratic society. It's not authoritarian. And maybe, Fuentes and, saying that it's bad because it's anti-Catholic. It's bringing degeneracy, and Candace is maybe the same way, but maybe a Tucker's more just they have control of the CIA and our government, and it's not letting us be Americans. And they have all these speech laws going in from Kristi Noem and whatever, yada, yada. Okay. All right. So what am I hearing? Everyone's agreeing that there's this foreign nation that has too much power in our country. And of all the people, I think Fuentes is the most correct. However, I also think that when I hear all these conversations generalized, like pro-Israel, anti-Israel, I think it's reductionist, or pro-Jew, anti-Jew. It's all reductionist, my thinking. My thinking is what does that mean, right? What do you mean by that? What do you mean these people have control and whether it's good? Well, what's happening? Let's look at the medical industrial complex. Let's look at the military industrial complex. Let's look at the governmental systems, the three branches, the judiciary, the executive, right, the legislative. Let's go down to the governmental bodies and the Association of the States. Who are these people, and what control do they have, and who are they paying off? And let's talk about that. That's a real conversation Americans need to have. And should that even be legal, right? So the way I look at it is I think Trump is in a tough position because he took $100 million alone from a Israel. I think she's an Israeli dual citizen. I don't know if she is. Is Adelson a dual citizen? I don't know.
I don't know.
Do you know?
Yeah. No, I don't know. Could be.
But here's but here's the worst part. It's not even about Israel. What I'm worried about, so I'm taking it down, is what is the real thing I'm worried about? I'm worried about Peter Thiel and Palantir.
Okay.
Because JD Vance, is a product of Palantir and Thiel. Palantir is a CIA company that is also an Israeli intelligence agency. Was just given contracts to gather and database our information, right? This was granted by the government. And the entire government, Trump's government and regime, is about creating a technocratic control center. That's why Kristi Noem started her DHS choose place and started with ensuring that Real ID took place. Real IDs are about creating a database of Americans and starting this collection of our data. And people even think that the legislation against pornography in Florida is about Christianity, and it was actually about seeing how we can coerce companies using, basically using IPs, how we can control companies. Now, obviously, it's good they pulled out. I think that's a good idea they pulled out. However, it's not good why they did it, right? It's the same reason why they say, they're putting digital IDs in Australia to prevent kids from accessing harmful adult material, but really it's about making sure that you have to use your ID to connect to your IP when you sign on, so that you have a digital ID so they can prevent you from accessing things like this show, which will be banned. By the way, my show was already banned in Australia. I'm banned from Australia. People don't know that. I just got banned from Australia thanks to Albanese and Chris Minns, the Prime Minister and the Australian Jewish Coalition lobbied and got me banned, even though I'm a legal resident of the country, by the way, which is unfortunate. Shout out to the senator who's probably going to give me a diplomatic visa and get me in. Candace Owens, by the way, is going to win her case. She's banned as well. She's in the royal court. She spent, I think, $400,000 last time she told me already on getting her visa reinstated. But I got banned, by the way, from there for promoting nationalist. I think they said, someone on the inside told me, nationalist ideals. So I'm like promoting white Australians to love their country and fly Australian flags, which is considered racist. Anyway,
Go figure.
But on a side note, it's like, you look at all this stuff and you look at what's going on and you go, the World Economic Forum, who just got, put as the chair, I think was it Larry Fink, right? Of BlackRock just got put in charge, right?
It may have been. I don't know. I haven't kept up, but.
Yeah, so I know that BlackRock just got control of the World Economic Forum, and I don't know if you know, but the border between Haiti and the Dominican, man, I sound bad if that's those. I think that's the two countries.
Yeah, they border each other. It's like Hispanic Israel Palestine.
Correct, but BlackRock just bought control of. They just got control. The American company got control of the border, which is a Jewish company, by the way. And because now they're testing border surveillance and border control. So all the companies, including Palantir, are going down there and they're testing basically for Israel, how to control their borders better, using illegal technology that the West would condemn. But it's an American company that has sanctions from the U.S. government to do what they want with testing American technology, Israeli technology, and European technology at the border. So they bought up this port, and then by the port to Prince is also owned by a Jewish billionaire as well, which is where they do all the trafficking for the Clinton Foundation. But all that aside, you're looking at all this, and what makes me nervous is that Palantir is a deep state, you could call it, right? It's a Mossad CIA invention. I think they only got $150 million seed funding, and now they're several hundred million. You got Palmer Luckey, right, with down in California as well with his startup, which makes me nervous. But these guys are essentially back in the day they tried to pay me, to go with. Blake Masters, JD Vance, I got the emails when I was with Blaze TV to go, speak at some of these events. I was weary of Peter Thiel then and Alex Karp. I didn't think I wanted to, associate with the intelligence community. I didn't think that Vance would become the vice president because I knew he was an intelligence asset. He's changed his name multiple times. He's married to an Indian woman. And no, hey, I employ an Indian guy, but he's not Indian. He's just ethnically Indian. He's British, and his name's Edward, and he's a White House journalist, and he identifies as British. But he named his kids Vivek. Like, you're a white guy, you name your kids Vivek. People talk about assimilation. Look, I'm not being racist here. If you're going to marry an Indian woman, but assimilate, right? Like, naming your kid Vivek when you take an Indian wife is the equivalent of saying that you're a real man, and you take on your wife's last name. It's like, oh, I'm a man, but I took on my wife's last name when we got married. It's like, oh, you're a bitch. That's what you are. So Vance isn't this American guy. Hillbilly Elegy, it's a good movie, good book. Why do you think it got promoted? Freshman senator. They didn't win. Thiel's money didn't win across the board. And Thiel's been trying to get me too, because he knows that I'm friendly with them and not I was just with Curtis Yarvin even recently, but it's I just gonna let you know, Peter Thiel doesn't think humanity needs to exist. You can go watch his interviews. He doesn't think humanity needs to exist. He's a huge Zionist, and he put a Jewish guy as the CEO of Palantir, which is, if people don't know what that is, it's essentially a major intelligence operation, which is basically meant to control our United States government. And then under Trump, they gave them basically every government contract they wanted. Now they have unlimited funding like the CIA. So it's not good. It's not good. And Vance, they're saying it's going to be Vance, Marco Rubio in the 2028 ticket. Now, Trump already told us in 2016, before he got bought out by the Israelis, you know, he said, anybody who takes money from the Adelsons, you can't trust them, right? Now, Trump took 100 million in this election from the Adelsons. He had to. I get it. And he also said that Marco Rubio wasn't trustworthy because he took money from the Adelsons, and that he's an Israeli asset, basically, is what he insinuated on the debate stage back in 2016. I remember that. I watched it live. And he basically said that Marco Rubio is the most corrupt politician alive. And now he's in his cabinet. And Vance also is from the same, financing. So MAGA's not real. And, I voted for Trump 3 times. I almost went to jail for it. I employed J6ers who got pardoned. I'm a big, I lobby for the Republican Party to this day, a paid lobbyist. I push campaigns. I push politicians. I'm the only lobbyist I've ever met in my life that's transparent about that I lobby. I even lobbied for some immigration reforms recently at Mar-a-Lago. I won't get into it, but I'm trying to get the H-1Bs turned into H-2Bs so that they can't get residency, because we don't need any more Viveks in this country. Let's just be honest. Nobody wants them here. Nobody wants them in Canada. Nobody wants them in Australia. They have their own country. There's 1 billion of them. If there's 2 million of them went to every country in the world, they still have 1 billion people in their country.
That's
Please, for the love of God, no more Viveks in this country. And they're running this platform we're on, YouTube. They run everything. It's just yeah. And you know why? By the way, for YouTube to ever say that I'm being racist against Indians, I'm not. Do you know what it is? Indians are the most racist people, I think, on the planet. I'm not joking. I'm not. And I employ an Indian, and he admits this to me. They're so racist. No, this is not a joke. They're so racist, and that's why I don't like them. If you go online, look at Indians talking about how their plan is, because they have a caste system to eventually expel whites from their own countries. That's their plan. They're trying to take over all the jobs because they're not stupid, right? They're not low IQ. Indians are not retarded. They're not. I'm not being racist. I'm not saying they're bad or they're dumb or they're this or that. I'm not saying the Indian race is like dumb people. It's the Indian race are smart people. They're intelligent, and in fact, the people that come here are some very intelligent people. But if you go, I lived in North Dallas, and North Dallas is all Indian, right? So I lived in Frisco, and they were very racist towards me as a white guy. Very racist.
Elijah, by the way,
yeah.
I'm not getting the call from India or anything, but we are over time a little bit. So
okay,
we just got to close out here. I just wanted to give you a heads up because I knew you're cooking there, but
no worries. I'm not gonna say who, but whoever booked me just said just speak the whole time or something.
Oh.
She was like, just say as much as possible. We got to fill you. Just say a bunch of stuff. I was like, all right, cool.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I didn't get the call from India or anything. I was looking at the clock. I'm like, all right, I don't know. Frumble will get upset if I'm over time, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, do you want to wrap that?
Yeah. I'll say this. So everyone's competing for power in this country. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't want to break it down. It's just the Jews, right? Like, I think that's a reductionist argument. India's coming for power. Israel's coming for power. China's coming for power. And who's not coming for power? White people, because white power is a negative word. And I think I'm doing something about it. I'm traveling internationally. I think Trump's realizing that his base realizes that being so pro-Israel while not following through on your campaign promises is making people mad. So he's doing performative things instead of releasing the Epstein files, like doing what he's doing in DC. And we'll have to wait and see. I'll just end on this. There's a revolution going on within the Trump administration right now. And our enemy to MAGA, I'm gonna tell you this, to people that are mad at Trump, our enemy is not Trump. Our enemy is Susie Wiles and the people that he owes his campaign to that are controlling him. Our enemy is Adelson. Our enemy are the people that he owes his promises to. And I don't want to say Vance is our enemy because I might be wrong, but I'm more worried about Vance, the happy-go-lucky guy who eats donuts like a normal, person, than I am about Donald Trump, who's always been a friend of Israel and a friend of Jews. He's from New York. But if you want to get your country back, then don't look at what people are saying. Don't get caught up in the internet fights. Don't be, team this, team that. Look at the people who are getting shit done. Look at Bukele. Look at governments that are actually accomplishing what they say they're going to do. And maybe ask your government to do some of the same things here. And when Trump does something good, like militarizes, DC, maybe give him a little bit of credit and ask him to do the same things in other states. Just make sure that Israel and Palantir aren't the ones in control of those departments when and if they do deploy. So I appreciate that. If anyone wants to watch my show and hear this crazy ass talk every day, I make content every day. Go to Rift TV on Rumble, RAFT TV. You can type in The Rift TV or Rift TV. It should pop up, just Rift TV. You can watch it on YouTube. We're on X, Elijah Schaffer on social media. And you can also get us on audio podcasts. And again, we are live tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern time, right before Timcast, 7 to 8 p.m. on Rumble. Again, follow us there if you're watching, and on YouTube. We have a brand new channel. Appreciate it. And thank you so much.
Cool. Thanks, Elijah. Well, I appreciate it, man. Have a good rest of your day.
Cheers, man. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Alrighty, here, let me exit out of Ninja here. All right, well, that was a wild one. We're a little over time here, about 20 minutes over time. He was riffing. There wasn't much room for pushback either. I mean, there's a lot going on, a lot being said, but no, it's always great to have a guest come in and speak their mind. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff in there, obviously, but maybe, I don't know, we can get him the culture where, I'm a MAGA guy. I like Vance. He's a good dude. But yeah, anyway, thanks for watching. We'll be back tonight for Timcast IRL at 8 p.m. You can follow me on X and Instagram at Real Tate Brown. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tonight. Bye-bye.